Welcome back to Less Than Geek. My name is Travis.
And I'm Peyton.
And this is the next video in our series preparing for regionals. For this video, we're going to be focusing on the IG-88, dual IG-88 build that should be pretty commonplace. Peyton here has been playing it for the last few tournaments. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the specific build you had here?
My specific one is using B and C, which are the gunner one and the one that gets a free evade after boosting. It has a lot of defensive capabilities using the advanced sensors and push the limit combo. If you don't start your turn with stress, then you can take a double action with the advanced sensors and then clear the stress with your maneuver, which is one of the abilities that only a few ships in the entire game can do. So you can easily token up. You can even boost and then do a K turn. So you get a lot of maneuver options as well as defensive.
Right. And then you also have the inertial dampeners in there. That's even more options, right?
Yeah, you give your opponent a lot of, kind of choices. Like, is he going to S-loop? Is he going to inertial dampener? Is he just going to do a green and token up?
Right.
And relying on, auto thrusters or, just the fact that you have 3 green dice.
Right. And then, and even if you're doing, like you said, a boost with advanced sensors before you do an S loop or, whatever, you're still getting that evade. So even when you don't go for the full token up of focus plus evade, you've still got that evade even with the boost and then with the auto thrusters. And, maybe even keeping your distance at range 3 if you're doing a boost and then a big S-loop turnaround, right?
Yeah.
So, and obviously this list wants to be at range 3. Probably any build of IG-88 that's going to be the case because they're all going to have some sort of cannon weapon, I imagine, and auto thrusters. So
yeah, I don't see any list that not using auto thrusters.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're you got a ship that is just as effective pretty much with it as the interceptors, but has 8 total health instead of 3 to back up all that evasion. Now, some of the other ways that you could build this, the other 2 pilot versions of IG-88 up here that were not in this build, IG-88A is the one where after you destroy a ship, you recover a shield. That one's not probably all that great right now. Seems to me that FFG has him designed as sort of the anti-swarm option, but most of the meta right now, it's not just all tie swarms with Howl Runner like it used to be. It seems like kind of a stopgap to prevent the meta from maybe getting too crazy like that again one day.
It could also be, a pretty decent option for Epic.
Yeah, an Epic, you want to play all 4 of them, that would be great. But the IG-88D, though, is another nice option, and you could really have them paired with either B or C and have some, positive effects there. So IG-88D is the one that lets you do the Segner's loop, whatever they call it, the S-turn maneuver with the 90-degree template instead of the bank template. So that gives you more options for turning around. If you had him combined with the IG-88C that gives you the free evade when you boost with advanced sensors, you could do what you're talking about where you do the boost with advanced sensors and then turn around and you're still getting the evade. But now you could potentially do, like a 135-degree turn or whatever, because you could boost 45 and then do a 90-degree turn.
Yeah.
So that would be a good combination.
You're close to where you started, but looking at a completely different angle.
Right. And, or you could pair him with IG-88B to still have the gunner type effect with your cannons and, but have the options of turning around and, again, maybe playing for trying to stay at range 3 and, doing those maneuvers more frequently.
It seems like B is the one you're going to use most of the time, and the other one is the one that you could possibly switch out, but the upgrade you tend to want to change.
Right.
If you're using the one that has the hard S loops, you tend to not want to push the limit.
Right.
Because you're going to want to have the ability to do that, so you're going to have stress a lot more often. So
yeah, so one good option here would be switching in Predator. Since that works fine when you have no actions.
Yeah, it's a great synergy with the cannon reroll as well.
Yep, and you could do that on both attacks. You probably want to keep advanced sensors, and that's what if you're using Predator. Another thing you could do in general is to play the fire control system there, but with these two, that's kind of redundant. So this would be something maybe if you were sticking with push a limit with the first two guys that we had here, or you had yet another elite pilot talent here. I think you mentioned it with IG-88D that lets you do the 90-degree K-turns. You like to stay on target?
Yeah, because, I mean, it's great against the lower pilot skill ships because then it's impossible, basically, to block them. If all you have to do is dial in a 3 in any direction, and then suddenly you have, what was that, 5 maneuvers you could do?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Either straight or, looping around.
Yeah, so, because basically all the, now you just can do the 90-degree turn or the bank without turning around, like you said, and you're looking wherever you need to look. It's kind of like almost like being a fire spray, where you can have the front or the back to shoot out of. You just have to pick one. Or of course you can use heavy laser cannons here if you can find the points. That would synergize maybe a little more with the fire control, so that you're potentially having like focus and target lock when you're throwing that many attack dice. Even the feedback array could be interesting in there to counter one of the specific matchup problems that this list tends to have, which is a high pilot skill, basically TIE interceptor heavy list, something like that. You could repeatedly shock the Baron to death, maybe.
It tends to be a pretty grindy match versus interceptors because you end up, everyone's got 3 evade and probably auto thrusters.
Right. So, yeah, let's talk more about some of the potential matchups. You'll probably still see a lot of Falcon builds. Let's start there.
Yeah.
People are still used to playing that.
Falcon, it can be an easy win if you can get him an arc, basically.
Right.
Like any kind of interceptor. But with the Falcons having, they'll have the title, they'll have C-3PO, suddenly your one shot might only do 1 damage. And if you're only doing 1 damage a shot, you kind of don't win that race, and they're most likely running gunner.
Right.
And that they'll start pinging you off slowly, and they have a lot more health.
Yeah, they've probably switched to gunner these days because of all the interceptors and whatnot with auto thrusters. Okay, how about against a swarm build, or even just something that's like low pilot skill, B-wings, rebel list like that?
I like the matchup because of the maneuverability of the ship. Obviously, you're going to have to slog through a lot of health, but they tend to have lower agility.
Right.
And so you can land those crits if you're running either Mangler, or you can just deal the heavy damage with the heavy laser cannon.
Right.
Take him out in maybe 2 shots. 1 turn, you take out a ship every round.
Yeah.
I like those odds, especially if you can stay in range 3.
Yeah.
And then all those small little dinky shots from their, TIE fighters. And
Z-95s or whatever. Yeah, the auto thrusters just kind of take care of it.
Yeah.
I guess one thing there, the main problem against a matchup like that is trying not to get blocked with so many ships on the board and the asteroids and everything.
Of course, with advanced sensors, you could still at least token up before you get blocked.
Yeah, and inertial dampeners and stuff. You give yourself some options. So let's say you go up against the dreaded interceptors. Let's start with a list that maybe has just Soontir in it, paired with a decimator, since that's one of the most popular builds still.
Well, it kind of switches depending on the round length.
Right.
Because if it's a 60-minute round, you could probably, once you finish off that decimator, the round's going to be close to over. So you can either run away or just take low-risk shots.
Right.
Only with both ships in that area at the same time. You don't want one shooting off to the corner and the other one actually trying to duel them.
Right.
You need both engaged. If you only have one, then it's probably better if you just run away, honestly.
Yeah, it might be a little trickier because, again, the regionals should be running 75-minute rounds, supposedly, but I guess we'll see what happens. And then the toughest match for this is probably somebody playing just straight-up all-out interceptors, playing, say, 3 of them with Soontir and 2 other ones with whatever configuration.
That one, you're going to end up just having to pull a bunch of K-turns, keep them in your front arc.
Yeah.
And if you land 1 hit, it's going to be a crit, and they're going to be either dead or useless.
It could be devastating. Yeah, there's so many that they just get it. It just shuts down what they do. So that one, pretty much every list has a bad matchup. Sometimes you just gotta hope for the best that you don't come across it. But
roll good.
Yeah, that's where I would consider, if I was really worried about it. If I saw that in my area, I would consider the feedback array.
Yeah,
maybe. And then I guess the last, let's touch on. Have you played like a mirror match with that, or?
Mirror match is a lot of the reason that people will end up running 98 points,
Right.
saving those couple for the initiative,
Mm-hmm.
because again, the maneuverability, if goes against you if you don't have that initiative.
Yeah.
So you'll end up again having to pull a lot of K turns just to get shots. So you'll end up having less tokens than they will
Right.
if you don't have that that jump on them, and it's very throw up the air. You don't see the same build a lot though,
Right.
which is weird.
Yeah.
So you'll end up seeing you'll see double time for the freaking mirror match, and then they're running completely different stuff, and it's a very strange matchup.
Right. One other thing about a lot of these builds being a little under for the initiative bid, it's pretty helpful if you do get in some of those matchups we talked about earlier, where like the Falcon, where it's just sometimes it's hard for either of you to kill anything.
Yeah.
And again, in an elimination round, draws that go to the player with initiative. The player with initiative gets to advance. So sometimes grabbing initiative in like a top 4 game makes all the difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for this one. We'll be back soon with another video focusing on another build, continuing this preparation series for regional tournaments. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and a subscribe. We'll see you next time.